So we're on video number 4 of the how to paint your page part. And one of the things that I read recently about my artist, Richard Diebenkorn, was that he would get to the point where he liked what he was doing, which is what I like right now, and then he would purposely go in and quote unquote muck it up. So there's certain paintings when you look that he felt like if they got too pretty or perfect, he would go in and throw a totally different color in one of the corners. So I thought I would start to try to do that. I'm still in the pulling it together type or part of the phase. The painting for me is part of the process is kind of going in and playing mad scientist and moving the color in and around the page and using colors and different brush strokes and whatnot to try to get different effects. I have had several people say over the years, you know, why do you want to go in and keep adding all these different layers of paint? You know, why can't I just throw a couple of layers down and be done with it? And you can, you know, that's your page, but I'm showing you how I've been painting lately and what my process is. And lately I've really been about trying to push my work in a different direction and see what happens. You know, it's to try to push myself as an artist and also as a person to learn different ways to approach thinking, because art making to me is all about problem solving and learning different ways to approach things, and that's part of our everyday life too. So I'm going to go in. I started just now, I threw some of the Titan Buff down and I'm going to add a little bit more of these darker colors that Diebenkorn used. So I've got that Nickel Azo yellow, which is like a yellowy brown. Oh, one thing you'll see me do is I don't like leaving the caps off of my glue sticks and caps off of my paint, so I always put the caps on right away. So yeah, you get a different look if you can go in, and I'm actually kind of like scrubbing the paint and scratching into it with the barrel. So that's one of the things I like to do. Oh, I've been also painting on top of a piece of cardstock that later on I can cut this up and turn this into a journal page if I'm so inclined. But it's a good way to wipe off excess paint on my brush so I don't have too much paint on the brush. So I'll kind of back up for a second, see what I'm doing. I really like this bit of blue. It's peeking through at the top. Oops. I'm going to add more of that pink. Why? Because I can. It's kind of fun to play with the different brush strokes and how you apply the paint. I like using different tools too, you know, not just painting with my brushes, but sometimes with credit cards and all these different tools and things that we've got. Paper towels, rags, old socks, stuff like that. Palette knives sometimes. Your painting process is just like your collage process. You're done when you get, for me at least, when you get that feeling, when it starts to click and it just feels like it's right. So I like the direction that I'm going in now. I really like the different textures that I've got going that I wouldn't have achieved if I had just put down a couple of layers. I'm going to darken up my brown a little bit. Sometimes what I'll do is take a color and do a little bit of mixing. So I might throw, instead of adding black with my brown, I might throw a little bit of blue indigo and see what happens with that. Make sure my brush is dry. So when I go to mix colors, what I usually do is, so here's the brown, I'll pick up a little bit of that. I flip, this is my scientific method, flip the other side of my brush over, so see how I have a little bit of each color. Then I'll go in, mix it right on my palette. You can throw a little bit more brown in here if I want. And since I didn't know what it looked like, if you want to ever just try it on scrap paper, you can do that. Sometimes I'll go in and I'll save my scraps that I've collaged with and try my painting first on those scraps to see what they look like before I actually go to paint them on the page. But I really like this texture of this mucky brown here. Sorry for all the coughing and clearing of my throat. I'm still not feeling completely myself. So I'll step back every now and then. Get up, get away from it so I can see what it looks like. What I suggested before was, a lot of the time we look, and all we see is what's right in front of us. So get up every now and then and back away from your work. So I'm going to give this a couple minutes to dry and we'll come back with another video in a minute.